This is Smutty Side Up, where in each episode we dive into a popular or not so popular book in the romance world and all the subgenres that encompasses.
We look at everything from tropes and characters to weird euphemisms for genitalia and tell you whether we think it's worth the read.
We're not here to kink shame or yuck anyone's yums. These are our opinions, and sometimes we even disagree with ourselves.
Content warning. This is an explicit podcast. If you're easily offended or have modest sensibilities, please listen at your own discretion. If you are my father, brother, father-in-law, brother-in-law, identify as a father to me, or have ever called me like a sister to you, please turn this off immediately.
So sit back, light a candle, and let's metaphorically crack the spine of this week's book. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Ricky.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I've been better. I've been worse, but I've been better.
All right.
I'm actually going to give a disclaimer right off the top. I am on some meds. I am both exhausted and stimulated at the same time. I'm a little loopy. This might be a little weird one for me. I know you know this, but just to give our two listeners, hey Alla, how you doing? Just a quick update. I went and did a laser hair removal appointment. Not my first one, but for whatever reason, the next day, my legs, from my knees to my ankles, just hives all over the place. So fucking itchy, burning, wanted to rip the skin off my legs. And I know you know this because you slept over a couple nights ago.
They're brutal. I mean, it's so red and inflamed and horrible looking. So
it was awful. And if it looked bad, it felt a million times worse. And basically, I had to live with ice packs all day, every day. And I'd sleep with ice packs, but then I'd wake up after 3 hours or so with throbbing, burning in my legs. And then I'd run downstairs and grab new ice packs. It's been terrible. The worst part is that I go on vacation on Tuesday. Yesterday, on Friday, I finally hit a breaking point, and I did a telehealth appointment, and she prescribed me both a steroid cream and prednisone. Have you ever taken prednisone?
I've never taken prednisone, no.
Do you know anything about it? Because, I did not.
I feel like my grandmother was taking it towards the end of her life. That is I acknowledge that I have heard the word prednisone, but that's as far as I
feel like I'm at the end of my life, so it sounds about right. Yeah, no, this doctor, she gave me a really long talk about this is a really intense medication. It has, it interacts with a lot of other meds. You got to be really careful on it. Each tablet is 5 milligrams, and she has me taking 8 every morning for 5 days. Yeah, it's like a steroid on steroids, or I don't know, specifically for hives, specifically for really intense hives. But yeah, so today was day 1. I'm still icing my legs, but they feel significantly better. I'm also using the steroid cream at the same time, so I'm not really sure what's working, but hopefully something is working. But yeah, the meds are doing something funny to me. So
okay,
we'll see how this goes. If I fall asleep while we're recording, just call Eli and Tom to go wake me up, and then we'll just
I will
keep
absolutely
going.
do that. I'm gonna start yelling through the thing.
Yeah.
I was I am also having a day.
Okay.
Not quite as medical emergency day. But as you mentioned, you're going on vacation. And so we shifted our podcast record. And I have a 3-child sleepover happening in my house today.
Yeah, you do. We picked a good night to do this.
We did. Honestly, they have been really good. It's my current foster daughter and my 2 previous foster littles, who they've become really close. The 2 little girls are best friends, and they are the same age, and it's lovely, and they have the most fun. I mean, I was saying they put on hours worth of movies for us today. I had to sit in my room. They were using the double doors into my bedroom as curtains.
Oh, I love that.
There were bows. I took some videos that I will share with you because they are real good.
Excellent.
Anyway, so everyone is trying to be settled. So that's the hope. But I'm very excited about today.
Cool.
We are diving into our first hockey romance.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am not a hockey fan. I mean, I know that makes me a terrible Canadian, but I've never really I've enjoyed it at a live event, in high school, because the energy is it's a good crowd. But I don't follow hockey. I'm not a hockey person. I could roughly tell you that there are 3 periods and I think it lasts an hour total, but like the amount, my hockey knowledge is limited, is what I want to say.
I actually don't know how long a hockey game lasts. I mean, I feel like it's longer than that, but
well, that's the
maybe
amount
each
of time.
period's
It's
actually
like
20 minutes. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm not super, I mean, I like hockey. I do like hockey. My brother was a hockey player growing up. My son, Eli and I have always said that, you know, we're not going to be hockey parents. And my 3-year-old started skating lessons this year. And for fuck's sake, it is the one thing we have put him in so far that has come so naturally to him. Not even that he loves like lots of things. Like we did gymnastics, he loves it. But yeah, so skating has been the one thing that has come so naturally to him. And like, he's already excited for hockey. And it's just, of course. Couldn't be soccer where, you know, you just buy cleats and like put them on a field. Like it has to be the most expensive winter sport. I mean, maybe skiing is more expensive.
I was going to say, I ski race, so I think there's like a slightly more expensive.
But the thing is, we always wanted to put him in skiing because we ski. So like, we're doing that one anyway. So I'm like, cool.
I mean, maybe he'll get into the skiing as he gets a little older.
We'll see. I think all of his friends are going to be skating, and it's going to be hockey. And then skiing will be like what we do as a family.
So when I started this, you know, romance reading journey, hockey romances started to pop up for me, and I was super skeptical. Yeah. But I was fascinated by the sheer volume.
Lay it on me.
Like, there are thousands of hockey romances. On Goodreads, I looked for a shelf called Hockey Romance, and that one alone had over 4,000.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
What is there to write about how many of these players have mullets?
So here's
how
the
many
thing.
teeth are missing? Oh my God. I don't want to know how many books there are. I want to know how many of the players are missing teeth.
There's no teeth missing so far.
Mything?
But they come in like every, so far, at least not their teeth.
Are
my
you
teeth apparently
teeth?
with my list. They come in like every possible subtrope. There are ones you'll expect, like brother's best friend or teammate, best friend's brother, brother's rival, coach's daughter.
Oh my God.
When we get into the male ones, you have the rivals, like team rivals. But there are some others that you would just not expect, like super dark romances, stalkers, the fluffiest of fluff. We have male, we have white shoes. Like everything in the romance world is covered. There are paranormal hockey romances.
Shut up.
I swear to God.
Oh my God. Have you read any?
I have read one really bad one, but there were like, it was also white shoes. Like there were orcs.
Okay, so there was 2 orcs. The orcs were playing hockey?
Yeah, it was a monster league.
I can say with 1,000% certainty, I will not read that book.
I understand.
Okay.
I would not ask you to read that book. The levels of hockey vary book to book. Like in some of them, you get some, you know, description of the on-ice play. And in others, it's kind of like the closed door section of the book. But instead of the sex being behind closed doors, it's like, and then they went to play hockey. And now we're done.
And ding, that's the buzzer.
Yeah. But they all share like a couple core tenets. Our main male characters in general are athletes in a super high endurance physical sport that requires a lot of teamwork.
So they're hot as shit.
Yeah. They usually have a core group of teammates that are like amazingly supportive. And then depending on the age of the characters, you either have publicly famous professional athletes or on-campus famous student athletes. So there's some form of like dating in the public eye. So I wanted to see what the fuss was about. Today's book is the second hockey romance that I ever picked up. The first was Pucking Around by Emily Rath, which is an MMFM choose that we will definitely cover at some point.
Say that again. MMFM.
FM.
Why choose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 4 of them, and there are 2 sets, like there's a set of cross swords.
Maybe explain the MMFM thing, just because this is the first time it's come up.
Okay, so,
and
again, we're going to get into it because I think I might have it backwards, but I think it's either MMFM or it's MFMM, but I think it's the M's before the F indicates if there are cross swords or not. So if there's 2 M's, then they're like, those men are also in a relationship with each other or having sex with each other.
Okay.
And then there's one who's not.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So it's male. Oh, geez. So it's
3 dudes and a girl.
Yeah, so it's male, female, male. So 3 dudes and a girl,
but
and it's a white choose. Got it.
Yeah, and a lot of white chooses that you read are like 3 dudes and a girl, and there are no cross swords ever.
Right.
But then there's some where there's like a little bit of both. Anyways, I picked today's because it has a trope that is super prevalent in hockey romances. The reformed fuckboy.
Yes.
I fell down a rabbit hole. I have read a lot of hockey romances. The shelf behind me today is exclusively hockey romances I physically own.
Oh my God.
Every book that you can see, including these, are hockey romances. And then I went and I took your challenge and I made a shelf on my Goodreads and I shelved everything I've ever read that is hockey. And it's an embarrassing number.
What'd you end up at? Come on.
236. And I literally am reading 237 right now.
That is a lot.
Yes.
And my number is 0.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What is it about
it's
the hockey
genuinely
thing?
a lot.
You know what's funny is I on TikTok, like I go to TikTok for recipes. I'm not gonna lie. That's like, I'm like, shit, I don't know what I should be making for dinner this week. And I'll like scroll recipes. But every once in a while, I'll see these videos that are just like hockey players stretching on the ice.
Oh
my God. The way they're edited, they're so funny. It's so hot. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is crazy. The hockey player stretching thing, it's bonkers.
It's hilarious. But I don't get like a ton of suggested reads that are hockey romances. So I don't know why my algorithm is what it is. But damn, goalies are flexible.
Yeah. You want to know something crazy? I have received so much from the hockey romances that has now come all the way around. I just get straight up hockey content now. I am getting
just
like TikToks
plays.
made about like, oh, no, making fun of like, you know, the minor league coaches and how he interacts with you. And I was like, I don't
There's
understand.
nothing smutty in this at all. Why is this being sent to me?
No, they have just, they've come full circle all
You've
the way
gone through all
around.
the
And they're
content.
just like, obviously you're into
there's
this.
nothing left.
So today's book is Mile High by Liz Tomforde. It is the first in a series. They're all sports romances. They're not all hockey.
Okay.
So the second one is basketball. The next 2 are baseball. And then the next one that's coming out this year is also it's back to hockey. So someone we've met in this book. They are interconnected standalones. So you don't need to have read one to know what's happening in the other, but you will kind of like build that world a little bit. Like we will meet the FMC and the MMC for the next book in this book. Like you don't need to know. You don't need to know what happened in this one. All right, I'm going to send you covers. I am really excited because I actually have 3 covers for you today.
Oh, somebody did their homework.
So I'm going to first send you the standard paperback cover that I have.
Okay, so it is a cityscape. Is it New York?
It's Chicago.
Oh, it's Chicago. I was actually going to say Toronto, which is closer to Chicago. But anyway. Okay, so it is a Chicago city, like, skyline, kind of. But it's not all blacked out. You can see the windows and lights on in the buildings. With a plane flying overhead. It says Mile High to me, it looks like paint. Which, at first, I thought it was meant to be like the chemtrails from the plane. But no, it looks more like it's written out in paint or like a marker. And then it says Mile High like 1 billion times in faded white over like the blue sky.
Yeah.
Which is a choice for sure.
It is. It is a choice.
This is one of those books you'd never know it was a smutty romance novel. So for those of you who are, taking public transit or going to be reading on a beach or whatever, and you don't want to get caught, this is a good one.
Yeah, I like a discreet cover. So
yeah,
this next one is the special edition cover, which is slightly less discreet.
Less discreet. In fact, it's, I call them the naked man cover. I'm sure lots of people do. Yeah, it's got the cityscape in the back, but it's got like a green ombre kind of over it. Like it's black with like a teal green over it. It still says Mile High like 1 billion times in the background. It's almost like when you used to have to like write on the chalkboard, like when you got in trouble and you just had to keep writing the same line. Yeah, over and over again on the chalkboard. It just says Mile High, Mile High, Mile High. The writing is still in that marker paint font. And the guy is giving me a look. He's really buff. Yeah. He's got a bit of a shaved down beard, tattoos, looking good.
Yeah. And then this last one, I think, is a special edition that hasn't come out yet.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So this fits more into like the cover of a lot of other books that I have, where it's the like caricature version, but you're getting our FMC for the first time on here.
Okay, so for the first time, like you just said, we're seeing the female main character to a degree. This is one of the illustrated caricature covers. Way more to the point in terms of the hockey. We've got the male main character is in his jersey. He's got his skates on. There's like the hockey stick and the puck at the floor, and he is grabbing onto the body of a curvy looking beauty in jeans and a white t-shirt. She's got curly hair, which I love. Yeah, I am intrigued by this cover specifically. Are they both people of color? Like, what's...
Yeah.
Okay, so I find that really interesting because the special edition cover, not so much.
He definitely is... He's like black, but like a very like light skinned.
It really could go either way, that guy.
We're going to get into all of that because that is actually a thing we're going to talk about
in
the book.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The fact that, okay. Well, either way, I think the illustrated cover makes it very explicitly clear that you've got, and especially like the curvy female main character. That's awesome. So if you're one of those people who's looking for books with characters like that, which you and I have both talked about this before, that illustrated cover is going to draw a lot of readers.
Yeah.
Whereas the limited edition one is kind of generic.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I think the standard one is beautiful, so.
Yeah, I mean, the standard one is what I have. This is the whole set. So you can kind of see. Yeah. They're all different Chicago landscapes, different color palettes, but that same kind of font situation. Okay. And then there's something in the sky kind of that makes like connects to the story.
Oh, okay.
What I found really interesting, just before we move on, is that third alt cover has a tagline that I haven't seen anywhere else.
It does?
Says,
where?
Temptation keeps them on thin ice.
Oh.
And that's not a tagline I saw anywhere else. So I thought that was really interesting.
Very nice. Okay.
The book is written in dueling first-person POV. So we jump back and forth between the two characters. Tropes, we've got, obviously, the reformed fuckboy. We've got some forced proximity. And there's a little bit of forbidden romance. Diving into physical descriptions. For her, this is his description of her. Finally, I look at her. Her blue-green eyes piercing and pointed. Her hair bounces with chestnut curls, unable to be tamed. Her skin is a light brown, speckled with soft freckles across her nose and cheeks, but her expression could not be less impressed with me. Not that I give a fuck. My eyes wandered her body. Her tight work uniform hugs every curve of her full frame. It is mentioned later that she's about 5'6". So that's the other physical attribute that we get.
Oh, okay.
Our physical descriptions for Xander's, who's our main male character, are not super detailed. He's very tall, 6'5".
What?
Yeah, she talks about his hair being black and tightly faded to his scalp. His skin is a flawless warm brown. His neck drips with gold chains, and his fingers are decorated with tattoos and fashionable gold rings. According to Stevie, he is fine as hell.
Okay, hang on. I have to pause. Because that illustrated cover that I'm looking at right now,
yeah,
that girl is 5'6", and that guy is 6'5" and on skates.
No.
I'm not buying that for a second. Honestly,
no, it's weird because the other details in that thing, like the rings, the tattoos,
he's wearing the rings,
like are all things that are flagged within the book. But yeah,
but if he takes those skates off, they're the same height in this illustration.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, like unless he's really hunched over and we can't tell.
He's bending his neck down like an inch.
Yeah. So I want to flag off the back. The first time I read this book, I didn't clock Xander's as black. Like from that description, I kind of assumed he was Italian or just like a darker skin tone. Like it didn't read as black. She's very clear with Stevie, like calling out that she's biracial. She has a black dad and a white mom.
Okay, yeah.
But, and we'll kind of keep digging into this a little bit as we go further into the book.
Even the way his haircut was described.
Well, she called it a fade, which is like a tight fade.
Hang on, say it again. Oh, a tight fade. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Fine, that can go either way, yeah.
So as far as who they are as characters, we have Evan Zanders, bad boy hockey player. His best friend is Eli Madison. Let's just check it now. We're going to be using your husband's name a lot. Because even though in the book they refer to him by his last name most of the time, I purposefully call him Eli most of the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
They started as rivals through junior hockey, and then in college, Xander's temper seriously hurt Eli, so much so that he missed out on playing his sophomore year and missed his first opportunity at the NHL draft.
Wait, which one of them did? Eli?
Xander hurt Eli and he missed out. And then Xander's failed a class and almost lost his scholarship, and he didn't get to play either. So they were both not eligible for the draft in the same year.
Got it. Okay.
But all of it led to like a ton of therapy for Xander's. And the two ended up becoming close friends. Eli dealt with like panic attacks and anxiety. Their recovery and mental health struggles really bonded them and banded them together on this. And then they ended up, on the same professional team in Chicago, the Raptors. This is his 7th year. I know. As Torontonians, every time they mention the Raptors, I immediately am like, where's the purple dinosaur?
Yeah.
Hold on. Before we get back into this, all these hockey romances, at the very minimum, the teams our characters are playing on are fictional. They might be in a city that has an NHL team, but we are not talking about the Leafs. We are not talking about the Bruins.
Like, I thought for sure you weren't going to come up with another one.
I'm dying now. Now I have all of them. Okay. What's interesting is in some of the college ones, the teams as they exist in the NHL still exist, but in the professional ones, they're almost always different because then they can expand.
I wonder if that's like a way to protect the author in case somebody's like, you wrote this about me.
I think so. I think that they need to be able to
show that it's fiction.
Yeah, and just not have anyone concerned that there's or they don't have to run it past this second you start mentioning, especially because a lot of these deal with the management of the teams and the owners of the teams and how it's run. Mm-hmm. So now Eli and Xanders are super, super close. He's a part of their family. He's an uncle to Eli's 2 kids and is close with his wife, Logan. He's 28 and just a full-on playboy. He gets DMs from women in every city he's going to, and then he checks them against the notes he's made in a notes app filed by city, aka Denver, Cary, Great Rack. Ashley gave a hell of a blowjob.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
His contract is up this year, and he's desperate to stay in Chicago. He and Eli have the same manager, and while Eli's been painted as the golden boy of hockey, he's the captain of the team. Xander's the co-captain. Xander is a defenseman and an enforcer. Is this a term that you know in hockey?
Yeah.
Okay, so just for anyone who doesn't, the enforcer is the guy who gives retribution. So if there's a dirty hit made on somebody, the enforcer's the one that kind of goes and takes revenge back. And so they paint him as this kind of bad boy. He fights. There's lots of him leaving the arena with a different girl fighting on the ice. And they like to play up this faux or former rivalry between him and Eli. His agent is constantly pushing them to lean into it in interviews to make them more money. And while they ask Eli about his kids and his family, they ask Xanders who's he fucking or fighting?
Oh God, okay.
Yeah, the two of them started a foundation called Active Minds that works with professional athletes throughout Chicago to try and help youth with therapy and mental health and destigmatizing the idea of getting help, because that exists.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and exists really heavily for male athletes. Mm-hmm. But the public narrative is that it's Eli's charity. People don't even acknowledge that he co-founded it and is the one that got Eli into therapy in the first place. Eli's you don't have to do this. Just be yourself. You're not this asshole. You're not a dickhead. You can stop. But Xander thinks that he won't get a contract renewal. That this is what the franchise wants and they want this to sell tickets. And that's what his agent is telling him. So he keeps it going. Mm-hmm. And then we have Stevie. Stevie Shea is 26. She's a flight attendant who's just started a new job as a full-time flight crew for the Chicago Raptors. She's full-figured and not super comfortable with her body. Really early on, she compares herself to one of the other flight attendants, Indy, who's thin and willowy with shiny blonde hair. And she notes that her own uniform doesn't fit like Indy's. It doesn't lay flat on her body. There are gaps in the buttons of her collared shirt, and that her weight tends to fluctuate. So she was a few pounds heavier when she got this uniform. So it just feels constricting and not comfortable.
Can I also just say the fact that there are gaps between the buttons of collared shirts for women still to this day makes me crazy.
Crazy. Like, they know we have
Crazy.
boobs, right? Like, it's a thing.
We have boobs. I don't understand how this still happens. At my biggest, at my smallest, it didn't fucking matter. Gaps between the buttons.
Yeah.
Someone needs to fix this.
Please,
It's not going to be me.
Yeah.
But someone needs to fix this.
Okay, so she's worked as a flight attendant for a few years. She previously was with an NBA team. Her twin brother, Ryan, is a basketball phenomenon. Like, so much so that she doesn't readily tell people who he is. But they are super, super close. He's the reason she came to Chicago. She's living with him in his apartment. She's super passionate about a senior dog rescue that she volunteers at in her downtime. If she could afford to, she would just do that full time.
I love that.
But for now, she volunteers because she knows something about not being someone's first choice. And she really wants to help these dogs, like, be chosen.
That's heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, poor Stevie and her emotional drama, like emotional damage. It's a lot.
What did you say her brother's name was?
Ryan.
Ryan. And you said they're twins?
They are twins.
Have you noticed that there are more twins in romance novels than in real life?
I had not, but now that you're saying it, I was like, maybe.
I feel like every other book I pick up, there's a twin somewhere. Like,
maybe like our local gene pool has less twins.
My dad's a twin. I was very nervous that I was going to have twins, but no, but like Verity had twins. Hooked, his two henchmen were twins.
Oh, yeah.
Did I present another book? Oh, this is the medication.
You did. Birthday Girl. I don't think there were any twins in
Birthday Girl. No twins. Okay.
I don't remember twins.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
It's true.
As per Meatloaf.
I might like this version of Ricky the most.
I'm so out of it. Oh my God.
Okay, so we start the book with Xander's and Eli heading to their first away game of the season. Eli's miserable. He doesn't like the away sets of games. He misses his family, but Xander's loves it. There is a brand new plane for the Raptors, and they learn that unlike previous years, they actually are going to have a dedicated flight crew this year. So the flight attendants they're about to meet will be with them the entirety of the year.
Right.
He and Eli are sitting in the exit row because they are captain and co-captain. They have the seniority, so they get to pick. And notice kind of a female figure out of the corner of his eye, and he's just like, no autographs.
Wait, that's what he says?
Yes.
What a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Okay, no wonder people hate him. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So she's like, actually, jackass, I need to know if you're ready for the emergency exit procedure.
I'm going to start introducing myself that way.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
I
Ricky.
think so.
No autographs. Ricky of Smutty Side Up. No autographs, please.
No autographs. So he like immediately clocks her as super hot, but off limits. He doesn't sleep with people who work for him, and it, won't do that. And she's not super impressed by him. So he kind of goes out of his way to be even like more of a jackass, asking for drinks, even though there's a self-serve cooler, like comes back and makes her get it for him, trying to establish this like weird dominance and power. And so Stevie and her, colleague Indy are getting ready. As soon as the plane is ready to take off, all of a sudden, all of these hunky hockey players stand up and strip down in the aisles to their underwear and take off the suits they're required to wear for the media getting on and off the plane and get into something comfy for the actual ride. And both women are like, we love hockey. Like, excellent.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that.
No. Aside from Indy, there's another flight attendant who's like the lead girl. Her name is Tara. She's described as super territorial. The first night they arrive in Denver, she comes to Stevie's room to reiterate that she's in charge. It doesn't matter what she's done before. The rules, these are the rules here. And that if she sleeps with any of the players, she's fired.
Fuck this girl.
Yeah. She's also like, your uniform was a little too tight, and maybe you should order a bigger one. You don't want to give the guys like the wrong idea.
Ugh, fuck her harder. No, don't do that. She might like that.
So like before Tara had shown up, Stevie had been on Tinder.
She's a thunder cunt.
Yes, she's a total thunder cunt. Before she'd arrived, Stevie had been on Tinder and like matched with guys. Her criteria being like they had to only want to hook up and be attractive enough to her, but not so much that she would think they'd rather be with someone hotter, which is going to be a thing.
They have to be attractive?
Like attractive enough to her.
Right.
But if they're too hot, she's going to assume that they would date hotter people than
it would
her.
make her self-conscious. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. But after Tara's visit and like that swing at her insecurities, she's like being seen naked right now is off the table. So she goes to a bar to watch her brother's basketball game. She gets there, flirts a little with a cute bartender who flirts back, orders an IPA and a burger, and acknowledges that Tara's day hurt mostly because it's really similar to the way that her mom has always talked to her about her body. She's like, it's never direct, it's always backhanded, because how dare a Southern lady speak so directly? They don't do that. I understand that my mother is a perfect Southern belle with an overactive metabolism, but that's not me. It's never been me. I've got big tits, a big ass, and even bigger desire to never become the kind of woman she is. I love her, but she's judgmental, and I've never felt enough in her eyes. So we're just like setting the scene for like some real deep-seated insecurities. Her mom had wanted her to be like a debutante, a beauty queen, and Stevie just wanted to like spend time with her brother and run around and be outside. She didn't rush the sorority her mother was in. And once her mom realized she'd like lost that battle to turn her into a proper Southern lady, she just became super disappointed in her and focused on how different their bodies were. So Stevie's like internalized a lot of this hatred and like body image issue to the point where as she's waiting, she starts to second guess her order of a burger and is like, maybe I should have just ordered the salad. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Stevie looks up and sees that Xander's and one of the other players, Rio, are across the bar. She's like, nope, I need my check and a to-go box. Like, I don't even want to be seen in the same space. Like, I like my job. I want to keep it. I need to get out of here. And then suddenly someone's caging her in. So this book does something really interesting with the timeline. We'll end a scene from one point of view. So in this case, we finish it from Stevie's point of view being caged in. And then when we come back to the next chapter, we're in Xander's POV, but earlier. So we're getting to see some of the scene play out from his perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, he's there, you know, having a drink. He has like a 2-drink rule during the season. One of the waitresses is openly hitting on him like, I know your deal. We could go, you know, fuck after I get done. He says he fucks a certain way. No love making, no slow, and no kissing, if I can help it. I'll explain the rules, and if she's into it, cool. If she's not, someone else will be. Like, he's very like, this is how he rolls. He sees her, Stevie, across the bar and can't stop himself from bugging. Like, he comes over and jokes that she's following him and she's already in love with him. And she responds, I think the only one here in love is you. Like, you're in love with yourself. And he's like, well, someone has to be.
Oh, I say that about my kids, though. I literally, like Grayson, I always used to say nobody loves Grayson as much as Grayson. Nash is following right in his footsteps.
That's amazing. So, you know, they have a little interaction. He kind of clocks her clothes and is like, you know, you have banging curves. You shouldn't hide them. And then she escapes. And Xander's is about to kind of go back to the waitress and just continue where he left off. And then his phone pings the text from his sister.
From Xander's sister.
So
okay.
Xander's sister. And Xander's sister says, be careful. Mom somehow found my new number. So don't answer unknown calls.
I see. Okay, so they don't have a relationship with their mom.
Yeah. And he starts to have a full panic attack. He leaves. He goes to look for somewhere to sit and breathe through this. Like, he's been dealing with this in therapy for years. His mom doesn't love them. She left when they were teenagers, literally choosing money over them. Like, didn't like the lifestyle his father provided, so found a rich dude and took off. The next day, they're after like a shitty interview and a lost game. They're back on the plane. Xander's agent is mad at him because he blew off the girl the agent had planted outside the locker room for him to be seen leaving with. Because the agent's horrible. We're going to like just continue to pile up the ticks in his like asshole column. But he plants girls at the locker room so that Xander's is seen leaving with different girls.
Yeah, and he can keep up his
even
image.
if he doesn't sleep with them.
Right.
Yeah. So like, he might be a fuckboy, but he's not as much of one as he's being portrayed in the media. They playfully kind of battle on the plane, and the fact that she doesn't back down or give in to his charm is like equally infuriating and intriguing. She's figured him out. Like, he wants to get under her skin, but as long as she gives it back, they seem to get along. On the next flight, she is trapped in the exit row with him while the team does their strip down. So she gets a super close-up look of the giant bulge in his too tight black boxer briefs. She mentions that thing could have its own area code. He, you know, calls her out for staring, tries to play cool. The whole flight, he's like trying to get her to be his waiter. And then her boss goes to attend to him when he hits the call button for the 18th time. And he's like, no, you got to go get Stevie.
The boss is Tara.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like, I don't like my dinner. Will you make me a grilled cheese?
And she's like, no.
Yeah. Well, she's like, aside from being shocked that he would eat something like that. And he's like, why would you ask her? Like, anyone could have made you a sandwich. And he's like, something tells me when it comes to food, I trust your opinion more than hers. Which she immediately feels like shit. She assumes he's making that call because obviously she eats crappy food and like, you know, the little twig of a flight attendant wouldn't know how to make a grilled cheese. So she goes, she makes a sandwich, but she sends someone else to deliver it and like hides at the back of the plane for the rest of the flight.
I have to say, my reaction to it was the same as hers.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I've got some internalized trauma here that I need to work through because I immediately was like, what a fucking asshole.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. We're going to get into that. I had the same exact reaction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna go book my virtual therapy appointment.
Yeah, I definitely, the first time I read this book, I was like, I'm going to add some things to the list of shit I need to talk about with my therapist.
Yeah.
Yep. Back home, her brother asks her to come with him to a gala for this charity he's been invited to, Active Minds.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does she know that it was started by both Eli and Xander?
No. Doesn't even know it's been started by either of them at this point.
Okay, so she thinks it's unrelated. Okay.
No, but she does know she's like, oh, I'll see if I'm off. And he's like, oh, you're definitely off because it's founded by one of your hockey team guys.
So you wouldn't be working. Okay.
But then he's like, I need to let you know Brett is coming. Brett is her college boyfriend, a teammate of Ryan's who basically dated Stevie on and off for years, ditching her when he thought he had better options. And then would come back to her, and she always took him back. He broke up with her the last time when he got a chance to go pro, and she overheard him telling his friends, like, why would I stay with her? I'm going to have so many better options.
Fuck him.
Yeah, no, he's a dick. He's reached back out through the years, like when he was dropped from training camp and never ended up going pro, but she never took him back. And she also never told her brother, like, why they broke up, or even that he used to like break up with her on and off through college. She kind of was like, he's his teammate. We should just leave well enough alone. And then she heads out to go to the shelter. This is the biggest suspension of disbelief. She's going to the shelter at midnight. I do not understand why. The dogs are asleep. Why do you need to go at midnight?
Okay.
Leave that alone. But, she's a hot mess. She's in, ratty sweats. And in the lobby of this very bougie, expensive building that her very, very wealthy professional athlete brother lives in, she runs smack into Xander's. He's visiting because Eli, his best friend, and their family live in the penthouse of Ryan's building. And usually he takes the private elevator, so that's why they've never bumped into each other. But it's broken, so he had to take the regular elevator.
Of course. She
asks him why he's been calling her sweetheart, and he's like, it's ironic. I don't think you have a sweet bone in your body. Which she thinks is really funny.
That is funny.
She's into it. And then she brings up, why did you ask me to make the grilled cheese? You asked the girl who's not a size 2 to make it for you. And he's just like, I have seen you order out and made yourself a plate on the plane. Like, it wasn't about your body. It was about your taste buds. We clearly have the same taste in food.
Okay.
If you want me to be direct about your body, it's banging. You should start showing it off. But these sweatpants are atrocious. And then after that, he starts trying to find ways to run into her. Like, every time after this that he comes to the building, he takes the public elevator, even after the private one is fixed. In Nashville, Stevie has a little one-on-one time with her vibrator and is real mad when the image of Xander's comes into her mind right at the end. She grew up in Nashville, so her high school friends arrive. And her high school experience was kind of like people wanting to be her friends to get to her brother. Like, these girls are not genuine friends. And they're super bitchy, and they make her feel really shitty. After Xander's was so nice to her about, like, you should show off your curves, she went and got this really cute mini skirt. And they're like, that's what you're wearing? Like, it seems really tight.
It's not nice.
No, not great. So they go to the bar. The girls, like, run off to get a table, and they ask her to get drinks. And there's this really interesting scene where she's talking about trying to go to the bar and feeling embarrassed in a crowd by the space she's taking up as a bigger woman. And I have never felt so fucking seen in my entire life.
That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, but it's something that I've like never said out loud, but absolutely have that thought where you're like getting out and like, you feel like someone has to scooch their chair in a little more than they would for somebody else. Like, it's a thing where it's like in your head all the time.
Feeling. I do know that feeling, yeah.
Obviously, because fates are against them, Xander's is also at the bar. They clock each other. He kind of does a little like, you following me, but from across the bar. She doesn't come over. She doesn't acknowledge him. He overhears the girl she's with, like, hating how they're talking to her and cutting her down with these underhanded comments and not understanding why she's not fighting back. Like, with him, she's all full of, like, piss and vinegar, and with them, she's just not. She's just taking it. Then he sees some guys joining them. 2 of them call dibs on the friends, and the last one starts complaining that he's stuck with the big girl. And and Xander's like watches it for a while, and then he just can't. And so he swoops over. He's like, thanks for taking care of my girl. Sweeps her out of the bar, giving her a kiss on the forehead as they kind of like leave. Cause he's just like, fuck these people. Like, no. But as soon as they're outside, they're caught by fans. They're taking photos like, oh, is this your newest? Like, she's not your usual type. So Stevie runs the fuck away.
Oh my God, this poor girl.
I know.
She can't catch a break.
No. And she tells him, like, he catches up to her because he is a foot taller than her. So it takes nothing.
Yeah, so like one stride is like 5 runs.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, if it's even seen that I like look like I'm fraternizing, like, I'll get fired. Mm-hmm. So he calls his PR team and gets them to kill the photos, like scrubs the internet. And he's like, I want you. And she feels really amazing that this incredibly hot man that everybody else wants her, like, even if it's just for a night. She tries to tell him she doesn't like him, and he's all, even if that's true, hate sex is the best kind. So she fakes confidence, shuts it down. She can't get involved with an athlete.
Okay.
It's like it's an open offer, and she escapes before she can let her lady parts make a different decision.
She's using her brain, not her vagina.
Yeah. The next day, she goes and visits her parents because, again, she's in her hometown. And it's bad. They just like, her mom wants to know about her brother and not her. She tells her she's getting old. Like, literally in the same breath is like, oh, your brother's young. He doesn't need to worry about settling down. And then is like, you're really old. Like, you're too old to be choosy. And they're the same age because they're twins.
Oh, right. I was about to be like, wait, which one's older? God.
Yeah. She should call her ex, make some comments about her hair and her weight. Like, dad isn't blind to it, but mom runs the show and he obviously can't stop her. Mm-hmm. And then back on the plane, Xanders figures out who Stevie's brother is when he's tagged in a National Siblings Day post that some Chicago sports paper has put up. And so there's a picture of him and his sister, and then there's a picture of Stevie and Ryan. As a sidebar, I actually genuinely used to love doing these sibling day photos. Like, I think I've run out of the good ones, but I have an epic one that is like the most 90s snowsuits you've ever seen.
I love 90s snowsuits.
Yeah, so good. Just so many colors and the color blocking.
With the color blocking. I want one to this day.
They're amazing. So anyways, I will put that up. So he finds her private account, follows her, but like hours later, she still hasn't followed him back. So on the plane, what's up? Everyone else is like sleeping. It's a red eye. He goes to the back. She's literally on her phone on Instagram. So he just takes her phone out of his hand, goes in, finds his follow request, accepts it, follows back, and is like, we're just going to pretend you didn't see this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then he's like, when you're ready for me, this is how you're going to get in touch with me. Because he doesn't give his phone to any of his hookups. Like, none of them get his phone number. They only DM him through Instagram. She makes it 3 more cities without caving, but literally because she hides in her hotel room with her vibrator. Like, orders in food, doesn't even go out to get things. Like, and then in DC, her vibrator dies. She tries the old-fashioned way, but she's interrupted by a text from her shitty ex, and she can't get back into it. She's so tired of like not being chosen. And here is Xanders, who's been trying to choose her for weeks. So she gets her phone, opens Instagram, and simply sends, hey, which is returned immediately. No words, no pickup line, just an address.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, but it's not a hotel. She gets there and it's this exclusive club. She finds her name's on the list. And inside she finds him in a VIP section surrounded by like stunning model types. She mentions he's got a lot of options, and he's like, yeah, I always do, but I'm glad my first choice came. He asks what changed her mind, and she's like, my vibrator died. Like, doesn't even. And then they don't run off right away. Like, they stay at the bar, have a couple beers. One of his friends owns it, and he knows the band that's coming up, so they stay and do this like dance to some like sultry soul R&B, and then they squirrel off to the fancy hotel and they start hooking up. Why are penises in these books so pretty? Like, she describes it as thick and veiny and so much that her fingers can't quite fit around it. Like, I have never seen a cock I would describe as beautiful. Like, where are all of these?
Also, like, for your fingers not to be on hand. How do I, like...
Yeah.
That's... Although I'm using my nails. Hang on, let's get finger... Well, some of these women probably have nails. I don't know. That seems...
But yeah.
Like a girthy
But
bitch.
it's not the first time that I have seen a, like...
No, that's in every single book.
Anyways, so he has a...
Because it's a fantasy, Alexis.
He has a giant dick. And she's like a little intimidated. When he pulls it out, she's like, I really hoped he was a shower, not a grower, but he's both.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what are we talking? Like
I mean, we don't get an actual dimension, but I am thinking we're talking like at least 11 inches.
At least.
At one point, he's hard and he can't do anything. So he tucks it into the waistband of his pants.
Lots of people do that. You don't have to be 11 inches to do that. Your waistband is like 3 or 4 inches off your cock.
Not when you're 6'5".
Yes. Your pants are anyway.
That's
at least 11.
That's the impression that I got.
At
Like,
most
we're talking
17.
Yeah. They have this moment where they're like battling over the lights being on or off. And then he kind of like lets her win and leaves the lights off. And then she stops him from going down on her, which he's like super disappointed about. But he respects her wishes. And then he basically calls her out on being shitty to herself internally. He's like, this is all mine tonight. I'm not going to let you talk shit about what's mine. So I'm going to need you to stop or we're not doing this. And she's like, I'm not. He's like, yes, you are. Like, in your head. I'm not kidding. I will go take care of myself just as I have countless times in the last few weeks if you don't start being nice to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Also revealing that he has not hooked up with anybody since this.
I didn't clock that.
Yeah. And she asks him outright and he confirms it.
Interesting. Okay.
So now it's time for the cold read.
Oh, good.
Bam.
I wonder if the medication will allow me to read.
I don't know. We'll see.
I keep my lips to Stevie's ear, whispering dirty words as I watch the euphoria take over her pretty features. One of my hands moves to her tit, massaging, kneading, and rolling her nipple with my thumb. My other hand focuses on her clit, circling, flicking, and getting her ready to come with me. That is, until Stevie releases the headboard, takes my hand from her tit, and instead guides it to her throat. I can't help but smile against the skin of her shoulder as I lightly choke her, all the while I'm fucking her from behind. This girl is an absolute wild card. 1 minute she's insecure about what she looks like, and the next she's asking me to choke her as I fuck her body at my disposal. But I guess that's a little bit like the relationship we have with each other. Moments of softness surrounded by a shit ton of banter and teasing. Shit, I hiss out. I really like fucking you, sweetheart. Stop calling me sweetheart. The humor isn't lost on me that I'm choking and fucking a girl that I ironically call sweetheart. Never, I laugh. Leaning back, my ass on my heels, I pull her with me so she's sitting on my lap and on my dick. Her back is flush to my chest as one of her hands reaches over, palm curving around my neck, needing to anchor herself. I liked her body before tonight, but now, feeling it in my hands and on my cock and knowing I can throw her around a little bit and not break her, I think I might be its #1 fan. Woo!
I know. Yeah.
This
was my first hand necklace. I
caught that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it a lot more, but it does come up a couple times. He's like buying her jewelry, and he's like, "What's your favorite piece of jewelry?" So we can replace it with something fancier, or like
a pearl necklace.
No, she was like, had like a look. And he's like, "Other than my hand."
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
dirty as shit, but cute.
Super cute.
Yeah, interesting that both books that we've talked about with regards to hand necklaces have both been initiated by the woman.
Yeah.
Like it's been their acknowledged king.
100%. I think it's really interesting.
I like that.
So yeah, very hot. He breaks his own rules and kisses her as they come. And instead of wanting her to leave, he tries to convince her to stay. She's not taking him up on it. And he follows her out completely naked into the hallway, just like holding his junk. And he's like, it's 2 a.m. You should at least let me take an Uber with you. She's like, I'm a big girl. It's fine. He watches the door shut, regret settling on Stevie's face in the elevator, and he's trying to figure out how he fucked this up when he realized his hotel room door has shut and locked, and he is naked in the hallway.
Shut up.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So he goes and wakes up Eli, who does help him, but not before taking photo evidence. Stevie's like, that was a huge mistake. It was the best sex I've ever had. His constant praise kept my insecurities away. I wanted to do it forever. So, like, that's not going to work out for us. Like, that was not a one-time hookup, if that's how I'm feeling at the end.
Right.
On the plane, both Eli and Indy immediately figure out that they have fucked. And Xander's worried that he, like, did something she wasn't comfortable with or regrets. He wants to do it again, or, like, every time they're on the road, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I will get fired if they find out it's a one-time thing. And he's like, it's a one-time thing until it isn't. One time wasn't near enough for me. So we're back in Chicago. She's checking in because she now checks in on the score of the games.
Ooh, she's getting a little bit tied in.
She's getting into it. And then for the 4th home game in a row, Xander's is spotted leaving the arena with a different beautiful woman. She gets home and there is the cutest note on her door from the Madisons, Eli's family. Their 3-year-old didn't get to go trick-or-treating with her dad, so they're doing a makeup and they've left a few pieces of Halloween candy. If you want to participate, leave your light on. We'll come by between 6 and 7. If you don't, hope you enjoy the Snickers. Like, it's the cutest.
Cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
So a little bit later, Eli's family, along with Xander's, show up, all of them dressed as princesses. The little girl is Belle, Eli is Cinderella, Xander's is Elsa.
Amazing.
Ella, who's Eli's daughter, picked it because everyone thinks Elsa's really mean, but she's not, just like her uncle Xander's.
Does everyone think that Elsa's really mean?
I mean, at least the townspeople of Arendelle.
Okay.
I mean, they think she's a villain.
For the whole movie?
I mean, pretty much right to the end. Like, she's locked up when she gets back.
Really?
Yeah.
Do I not know how this movie ends?
I don't know, but right up to the last 5 minutes, people do think, like, the townspeople, not big fans of Elsa. So they like have a little interaction. He comes into her apartment and points out his apartment that you can see across the way. And she's like, that's where I am, if you ever want to repeat. She's like, I don't know.
He said that?
He said that.
And
she's like, I don't know. You seem like you've been keeping plenty busy. And he's just like, don't believe everything you read. The mental health charity thing is really like followed through as a through line. And Xander's is at therapy, which he's been doing for the last 8 years, prepping for the holidays. His dad is coming and they aren't close. He's mad at him. So when his mom left, his dad threw himself into work, essentially abandoning him too. He has never asked what happened. He just assumes his dad didn't love him enough to be around. And basically, he's just scared to admit that he wants to be loved. He doesn't show the world who he really is because then they can't reject him. When he's walking back, he finds Stevie crying on the sidewalk. Despite not being a fan of women crying, he heads over and sits his designer pants-covered ass on the sidewalk next to her.
Despite not being a fan of women crying.
He basically says normally his instinct when he sees a crying woman is to run away. Like he can't, but with Stevie, he can't help himself from coming over.
I don't want to meet the person or the man that is a fan of women crying.
That's true. I don't know, but I think there are some men that are like comfortable with comforting. And I think the intention is that he's like not.
That was very weirdly worded.
It was. I think that might be on me. Like, let's not blame
It might
Liz.
be.
One of the shelter dogs has died. He was old, but she's really sad because he died without having a family and love.
Oh.
Yeah. And so she convinced...
That better be an important point, because I swear to God, if you mention that for no reason, I will hit you through this computer.
It's important because then she convinces him to come in. And he meets this Doberman named Rosie, and she's like, she loves up on him, and she looks over and she's like, this is what unconditional love feels like. Like, she basically teaches him, like, this is what you've been missing. It's Christmas. Stevie has managed to avoid falling back into bed with Xander's. But she's like, if the shelter visit had been before our last away game, probably wouldn't have turned out that way. Like seeing him snuggling up with some senior rescue dogs, she would just be down, pants off. She gets a package from him. The note says, does me buying you pants mean I can get back into them?
Oh, I thought it was going to be a vibrator.
No, but he sent her designer sweatpants, but he purposefully bought 3 different sizes.
Oh.
Which is, I think, like, again, such a, like, lovely, thoughtful way of, like, doing that. Like, there's nothing as disappointing as receiving a clothing gift and it's too small.
Absolutely.
Like, I have this super vivid memory of this shirt that I desperately wanted, and I got it for Christmas, and I ran off to go put it on, and then it didn't fit, and then I had to come back, and like the burning humiliation of like, it's your family, but you're coming back and not wearing the thing you really, it awful.
That's happened to me. Yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah. So basically, she's just like, this was like incredible.
Yeah.
And so she wears her new bougie sweatpants.
Do they give the brand or no?
They don't.
All right.
I know. I want them. I want to know what the brand is. But she wears them to the Christmas dinner she's having with her parents who've come in. You know, they just got back from one of Ryan's games. They're going to have some Chinese food, and dinner is terrible.
Oh, wait, they're doing Christmas dinner with Chinese food?
Yeah.
Are they Jewish?
They are not, but they are, you know, a family who just attended a professional basketball game. So it's not like any of them were cooking.
No excuses. Excuse me.
It's terrible. Her mother sucks. She makes, you know, comments about the plate that Stevie makes for herself.
Yeah, fuck all the way off.
Yeah.
Got it.
She looks out and sees Xander sitting outside his building, just like sitting on the stairs. So she's like, fuck it. She grabs 2 beers and heads out. So at the same time, Xander admits to his sister that he hasn't hooked up with anyone since Stevie, that he thinks he wants more and not just in bed. And he's freaking out waiting for her response to his sweatpants. His sister is like, if a girl that I fucked gave me sweatpants after one time, I would be fucking right off. Like, what are you thinking? That's the dumbest present I've ever heard of.
I disagree.
I know. Well, and the thing is, it's a thing for them. Like, he's made jokes about her sweatpants.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's good. But yes, his sister definitely, you know, gave him some shit for it. I also love, he's very nervous that his sister is going to steal Stevie. Like, he's like, my sister can pull girls way hotter than I can. Like, it's really epic. Anyways, he then lashes out at his dad. Like, he lets some of this anger that he's been holding on to since he was 16 just like fly and storms off. He's like, I'm supposed to go to Eli's, but he can't go see the kids while he feels this way. So he just sits down in front of his building. Stevie gets there. They share a beer. They bond. She tells him a little bit of her mother. And she admits that she lets people like her mom and those girls in Nashville treat her like that because when she feels bad about herself, she can't stand up to them. But around him, she always feels really good, which is why she's able to like give it back to him. And he shares his trauma. He talks about his dad who claims to have thrown himself into work to support them when his mom left. But Xander saw it as being abandoned. And they kind of sweetly like he links their pinky fingers. Like, he's like, we can't, you know, doesn't want to make a move. It's in her court to come to him if she wants to, but he like links their pinky fingers together.
Cute.
Then they're flying on New Year's Eve. Eli fully outs Xander's desire to invite Stevie to the gala to Stevie. And she's like, I'm actually going with my brother. He sneaks back in the galley and takes the opportunity on the plane to be like, if you weren't going with your brother and if you couldn't get in trouble, like, tell me you'd come with me. And she does give him the answer he wants, and they have a little New Year's kiss. So we get to the gala. She hates the cameras. She's really thankful that her brother immediately is like, this is my sister, hoping that there won't be any photos online. She's cornered by Brett, and she brings up what she heard when she ended things with him. And he's like, it was locker room talk. Like, obviously you still have feelings for me. We should be together. And as she's starting to be like,
Ew.
And she's like, did I overreact? Xander steps in, intercedes, and is like, you should fuck all the way off. Yeah.
Brett can suck an 11-inch cock. That is ridiculous.
According to this book, that's a pleasant experience, so we should give him something else.
I don't know if it would be for him. He's so cocky. Yeah.
It's true.
May not go in his favor.
Yeah. Her brother comes back and is super unimpressed by Xander's. So he leaves.
Why?
Because his reputation. He just, like, doesn't think he's good for his sister. He's like, you're a notorious, like, you give athletes a bad name. Like, you're a notorious fuckboy. Like, absolutely not.
He should know as an athlete that there's a PR team behind that. Come on.
You'd think. And then she finds out he's the other founder, that he got Eli into therapy. He's passionate about kids. And she's like, why doesn't he let people see this side of him? They dance, and he asks her to go on a date. And she's pushing back. She can't. But he's pretty sure it's more than that. It's like maybe about her ex. So she does share that he was always looking for other options, better options. And he's like, you're not. Besides you, there is no other choice. Ryan pulls him to the side for like a brother talk. He hates Z's press image and is just like, I don't want Stevie caught up in all of that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't break her confidence, but he is like, well, I don't like that you're letting this douchebag be around her. Like, if you want to know what's happening, ask your sister, but like, that's something you're doing that I don't
also, like, that's your friend and he's a dick.
Yeah. It's like, you're clearly a good big brother, but I like her and I'm gonna, this is out of my comfort zone, but I'm gonna do my best to like protect her if she gives me a chance. Mm-hmm. She's like, they dance and she's like, I don't want to like you. Your reputation really scares me. She tries to pivot to sex, like, kiss me, take me home with you. And he's like, go on a date with me. The event ends. He's bombarded with people and she slips out. We have now reached the hot plot spot.
This is the hot plot spot. If you want to read this book with no spoilers, now is your chance to leave. Oh, you're sticking around. Do you remember your safe word? Good girl.
Oh, I also just have to say, I totally forgot to credit Wayne in my credits last week. So double shout out on this episode. Wayne,
we love you.
Thank you.
All right, so he's super annoyed. He hasn't heard from Stevie. He has no experience liking someone, let alone having the reputation he's created be the thing that's holding that person back. He gets tough love from Eli's wife, Logan, who's like, you just got to be real, like, lay your cards on the table with her. So he heads to the shelter with Eli's daughter because he's been going every week to see Rosie, the Doberman, and he's going to adopt her, but he wants to do one final check and see how she is around the 3-year-old.
Aww.
Yeah.
Rosie's amazing with kids, isn't she?
Rosie's amazing with kids.
Of course.
She's just being prejudged because she's a Doberman and everyone thinks she's going to be aggressive. It's actually really sad. Like, the family that had her had a baby and so preemptively gave her up because they were like, she won't be good around.
That's awful.
So when Stevie is shocked by this revelation, he's like, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to get your hopes up in case it didn't work out. But I also didn't want you to think it was a ploy. Like, this is about, I love this dog and I'm ready to like have this kind of love in my life. Like, it's not for you. But they need a phone number, and Stevie, knowing, how private he is, tries to cover, and Xander's is like, it's okay. Can I just give it to Stevie? And then he takes her phone and puts himself in her phone as Z Daddy Xander's eggplant emoji, heart emoji.
Oh my God. Whoa.
Yeah. And then someone's supposed to do a house check. Obviously, it should be Stevie. He fills out a check for the adoption fee. Accidentally, instead of making it $50, he makes it $50,000. And then is like, oh, you know what?
Mile away.
Yeah, let's not waste a check. Let's not waste a check. You should just take it as a donation. And he literally later is like, listen, I didn't get Rosie for you. I did the donation for you.
Yeah.
She's adamant, like, this is not a date. I'm coming to see your house, but like, we're not on a date. So for they're not a date, he's very nervous. He's gone out and bought like plates and flowers and candles. He hired a private chef. And then he realizes, that is not Stevie at all. So he cancels the chef, puts the plates away, moves the flowers, and then places order for some delivery.
Fuck yeah.
And like cleans the overset table. His phone rings with an unknown number and he pounces thinking it's Stevie, and it's his mom. So in the meantime, Stevie is let up by the doorman. She gets there, she knocks, no one answers. She calls, she can hear the phone ringing, there's no answer. And maybe he's changed his mind, and so she decides to bail. And she's starting to leave, and she's like, fuck that. If he wants to bail, he can say that to my face. She tries the door, and it's open. So she goes in, she's looking around his house, and then all of a sudden he comes out in a towel because he was in the shower and lost track of time. He wasn't sure what she'd be in the mood for, so he's ordered a little bit of everything. Sushis, pizza, burgers, burritos, like there is all the food in the world. He gives her kind of some of his truths, that he was an enforcer, Madison came in and their agent constructed this narrative. He doesn't want to be traded and he doesn't think they'll love the real him. he told her that his mom called, that he hung up, but it still gave him a panic attack. And then he sobbed in the shower, which is why he didn't hear her at the door.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want just sex. Like, I want a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, okay, don't hurt me. If there's ever a time you don't want this, where I'm not your first choice, you have to tell me. Like, be honest with me. And she's okay if he's not ready to be honest with the rest of the world, as long as he's honest with her. They start to hook up when his phone rings again, and it's Eli. Close your fucking drapes. Yeah. She tries to get him to clear. So they do shut the drapes, and then she tries to get him to kill the lights again, and he's just like, do you trust me? I have felt your body. I have seen it in the dark. Like, I want to worship you with the lights on, because I'm about to eat you out like you're the last goddamn meal on the planet. But he is super considerate. Like, he's not bullying her into it. He does respect her comfort zones, but he is kind of just like, come on. After their first round, he takes her thumb, which she has this ring that she constantly fiddles with, like as an anxious tick, and he pulls it off with his mouth and puts it on his own pinky finger. So this is the size disparity. Her thumb ring is on his pinky.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just had to do like a side-by-side comparison of my own, but like, that was not made clear in the illustrated cover.
No, not at all. So, the next day she reminds him like they need to keep this secret for her job, for his contract negotiations. And he assures her like if that wasn't a factor, he would be telling everyone about her. He goes to, make them breakfast. He's bought her some clothes, and he's done the same thing. He went out of his way not to guess her size and put that pressure. There are just like every possible size of things. Mm-hmm. But he also says, if you want to wear something of mine. And so that's what she ends up doing. And she's really excited for the first time that a guy's clothes could fit her, like as, you and I both know, like men's clothes are straight cut. They don't usually work for people with curves. But Xander's is so thick that his can. And so she's getting the experience that most girls get to have of like,
yeah, when they're super tiny. Yeah.
Wearing their boyfriend's sweatshirt or jersey. But she's getting to have that experience, which again, like I can relate to that so hard. Mm-hmm. Like I dated a lot of really skinny boys. And be like the thing.
I like that you use the word boys.
Well, yeah.
Not men. Boys.
Accurate. Not coming back from it.
You know what's funny about that? I don't even want to think about what would happen if I tried on Eli's clothes now. Like, that's not a thing that I do. I'm still postpartum and I'm a bigger girl and I'm just not going to put myself in that position. But because the fashion used to be, or at least I shouldn't say fashion because it's definitely not fashion, but at camp, the style was for men to wear or boys to wear these sweatpants that were like 6 sizes too big on them. Mm. And they would be like low riding and like they were super baggy and crazy. And so I actually still have, and like me and Eli started dating like 100 years ago. So I still have a pair of his sweatpants from like 2008 that are like that super massive baggy sweatpants. Like that's how I get that feeling. Even though I know deep down, like they do not fit him either. Like they are just parachute pants on both of us, but I like it. They're really comfy.
It is a nice feeling though. Like I genuinely not one I've ever had. I've never dated anybody where I could like grab their t-shirt and have it like, I can wear it, but it's not like a loose, baggy, cute girl thing. It's like,
no, I wear Eli's t-shirts and I wear them like
as t-shirts. Yeah. It's just,
and we've talked about this. Men's t-shirts have better sleeves.
They do. And they're longer. They're longer. Like. So then they have this cute exchange about him buying her things. She doesn't want him to think that's what she wants from him. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's one of the things I like about you. You were not impressed by me at all, but I want to spoil you. And then she was going to leave because she has this video call for her dad's birthday. And he's like, you can just use my laptop. So they're on. And at the end, her mom asks her to stay on. Just the two of them. And she's like, apparently Brett has called her now to help.
The mom?
Yep. To help convince Stevie to give him another chance. And they fight. And Stevie lets loose saying all the things that she's needed to say. And before her mom can respond, Xanders comes over and just shuts the laptop, ending the call. He's like, I'm stopping her. Like, you said what you needed to say. And from what I could tell, anything she had in rebuttal, you wouldn't want to hear. So until she learns how to speak to you, she's not going to, at least not in my house.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the kind. Yeah, it's the kind of like protective man that I am looking for.
Yeah.
Just like nope, I'm not letting you get on this. So They go on their road trip. She sneaks into his hotel room every night. They end up getting back to town early, so her brother was supposed to pick her up because he actually has the weekend off with her. But because they're early, he's still playing his game. So Xander's waits around to give her a ride home, and they hook up in his car. Since she won't let him join the Miles High Club because he keeps saying Mile High, and she's like, that's inaccurate. We're at least 7 miles up. He settles for fucking her in her uniform in his G-Wagon.
Oh, please.
Ties her hands. Yeah. He ties her hands with her uniform scarf, busts out the vibrator from her travel bag because he is secure enough in his manhood to embrace the things that make her feel good.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
She finally tells Ryan, her brother, all about Brett and about her mom. She's drawing a boundary and she doesn't want to put him in the middle with her mom, but until she can stop with the underhanded comments, like, she won't be there if her mom decides to visit or call. And Ryan's like, right. I am on your side. Anyone who makes you feel shitty about yourself isn't welcome in our house. Like, she cannot come here until you guys figure that out. And then he begrudgingly admits that he likes Xander's because he's like, if anyone can be there for my sister and give her this kind of confidence, like, I can't not like him.
A real redemption.
Yeah. So they're hanging out. They do a little shopping. She takes him thrifting. He takes her and buys her some rings. They want to make a list of the restaurants that they want to try. And so he just gives her his phone to do it in his notes app, where she finds this list of cities that they visited on the road.
Oh, God. And
she questions it, and he's honest. He's like, I used to keep a list of hookups in different cities. And she thinks that's really funny.
Oh.
She's like, you're such a fuckboy. So she wants to read it, and he lets her. And then she looks really confused, and she starts reading out loud. Nashville, Stevie, curly hair, amazing ass, won't sleep with me, likes basketball, down to eat a burger. Denver, Stevie, has an attitude. DC, Stevie, best sex of my life. Super cute reformed fuckboy. He deleted all of them, but kept them and then updated them with their memories. The cities they haven't been to yet are blank.
That is fucking amazing. Yeah. Wow.
I know.
I just got chills. That was so cute.
It's so cute. It's the cutest moment. You're just like, oh my God. So yeah, things are going well. Like, he reached out to his dad because of her support. He sort of says to her at some point he misses his dad. And she's like, well, if you miss someone, you should tell them. So he just sends him a text. Mm-hmm. She goes to his games because other than his sister, he's never had anyone supporting him at his games. They do it like low profile. Like, she's not sitting close to the ice, but she's there. Right. She becomes friends with Logan, Eli's wife, and their kids love her. Like, he feels a little replaced because Ella now only talks about Stevie. Sure. But in the vacuum of any real stories or press coverage, Xander's press is getting really bad. They're filling it with rumors, and the playoffs are coming. And so more and more fans are like waiting outside his building every day. So her sneaking in and out is getting harder. They go to Fort Lauderdale for a game, and her brother's team is playing in Miami. So Xander's organizes with Ryan for them to come up with their teammates to all go out to a bar, because then he can bring Stevie, and there's like a plausible reason why she's there. So it's not fraternizing with the team. And she wants to take Indy out anyway, because Indy has just had a big breakup. Her long-term boyfriend, when they got home early from that trip, she got home to find him cheating on her. So she wants to like...
Which one's Indy again?
Her friend, the other flight attendant that she's friends with, not bitchy Tara.
Not Tara. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, I can already guess who the couple in the next episode, in the next book is going to be.
So, at the bar, things are good, and the hockey guys keep calling out Xander's for not taking up any of the girls that are like sending him shots or hitting on him. And he finally just freaks out and is like, I have a girlfriend. She's right here.
Oh my God. Yeah. Way to be cool.
Yeah. But they're all really happy for him. And he's like, keep it to yourself. Like, we have to keep Stevie's job safe. Then some of Ryan's college friends show up and they bring Brett with them. Xander's beelines for him. Stevie goes to stop him, but she picked the wrong protective person because her brother cold cocks him.
Okay.
Yeah. They get out of there, and Xander's has his PR team make it look like he's the one who punched Brett. He's like, it's great. It feeds into the narrative my manager wants anyway, and it protects Ryan's good guy image. And you're a little hot for me for protecting your brother now, right now. Like, aren't you?
Yeah.
They go to a little secluded beach. They're, hanging out. They strip off their clothes. They go for a little swim. He's tired of the bullshit, but he's really scared that if people don't like the real him, he'll end up on a different team and alone. And she's like, you would be alone? And he's like, yeah, the Madisons are in Chicago, but she met her.
Right.
His agent interrupts them, like blowing up his phone. So he finally answers and he's pissed. He's like, why is the PR team pulling down rumors that you have a girlfriend? Like, you're going to fuck this up. I haven't, like, nobody's given us a contract, even like an offer from Chicago. Like, this is what we've been talking about. You're fucking this up. And so Xander's is like, his biggest fear is being realized. We're being reckless. So he like sends her off to her hotel where she bumps into Tara, fortunately by herself, but all wet. And she's very suspicious.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Back in Chicago, they keep it low key. They're only spending time together in the penthouse. He's like, we were too public, and either like pretty soon they won't be working together because either the Raptors he won't be on the Raptors or she won't be working for them anymore. And he hates both because having her on the road has made this the best season of his whole life.
Right.
He comes home and he finds her standing in front of the mirror in pants that aren't done up and a bra, just super upset. And it turns out the wags. Ooh, here we go. Hockey term. Do we know the term wags?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, wives and girlfriends.
Wives and girlfriends.
Oh, yeah.
So the wags had made t-shirts. And so Logan, for each of the players, and Logan had snuck one for her to wear under her jacket at the game. And it didn't fit. And then the other outfit that she wanted to wear, she went to pull on, and it wasn't fitting either. And she's like, just really sad. And he's like, I know that knowing and accepting and loving your body like isn't a straight line. So he helps her out of the pants and he stands behind her in the mirror. And when she can't name anything she likes about her body, he asks her to start naming things that she doesn't. And as she names them, he tells her what he loves about them. Like, she's like, my thighs. And he's like, I like them when they're warming my cheeks or when you're straddling me. Like, they go through like her tummy and her boobs and like her stretch marks. But he just basically like validates like everything that she doesn't like. He tells her why he thinks it's amazing. And then he's like, look at us together. You can't look at us and say we aren't perfect for each other. So that's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
They're coming home from another away game, and as they drive up, there's nobody outside the building. There aren't the masses of people that are usually there, so they don't have to do their normal, you go in first, I'll wait in the car. So he grabs her hand, and they walk together, and then they are jumped by paparazzi who are hiding.
Yeah.
They get into the apartment, he calls his manager, but it's too late, like it's already online. And the next day is worse than he could have imagined. It's not the team or even Stevie losing her job. It's the internet trolls. They're attacking her. Like,
of course,
not being happy for them, cutting down her physical appearance and him, reinforcing every shitty thing his agent said. Like, the fans already have a golden boy. They want to watch him be brutal on the ice and flaunt his expensive shit and leave with different women. Like, he's a fantasy. And he's ruining it by not playing into that. The photos aren't clearly Stevie, so she hasn't been fired yet, but she's like, it's only a matter of time. Like, even if it doesn't come out now, we can't live in secret forever. So she starts looking for a new job. And she goes home just to talk to her brother and get some advice. And then Xander shows up and she can immediately see it. Like, he's breaking up with her. He says his reputation is never going to go away and he can't keep hurting her. She calls him a coward and uses the name that like the press used for him, which is easy. And she's like, it's apt. Like, you're easy to manipulate, easy to control. He begs her to understand he'd be alone if he got traded. And she's like, I would have come with you if you'd asked. And he's surprised. Like, it didn't occur to him that she would leave her brother in the shelter. And she's just, as he's leaving, like, why did you make me fall in love with you? We have our first third act breakup of the podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How has this not happened yet?
I don't know. Here's the thing. A third act breakup isn't, I mean, it is like common, but it's not crazy common. And I feel like they're very divisive. Like, I see a lot of people like promoting no third act breakup when they're talking about their book.
Hang on. Birthday Girl kind of had a third act breakup.
Did it?
Yeah. Remember they like, the thing is it was a secret relationship, so I'm not sure if it like really counts, because this one at least started to come out to some people. But yeah, I remember like they broke up, she left town, And then like months later, he came back.
Yeah, she ended their hookups. Like I think this is the first one where it's like an official, like we were dating, like officially dating, and now we're not.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, okay. I like a third act breakup. Like
so do
I like the angsty, like everything that's about to happen next is kind of what I want. Like it is the part of the like adrenaline and hormones that I get from these books.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. I am in the process of reading another book that I'm not going to explain much about right now, but I am like a chapter from finishing it. And if it had ended like 6 chapters earlier, I think it would have been my perfect book. Like I wanted that breakup. And then it just fucking kept going.
And then you just wanted to end.
Yes. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It had all the tropes I like. It was beautifully written. The breakup like made sense and like was kind of necessary and like, and then it just fucking kept going and they got back together and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I'm going to go and find all of my favorite third act breakups and just rip out the last 200 pages for you.
I know. I literally made a note that I was like, if I stopped here, perfect book.
That's amazing.
No corrections.
No notes.
No notes. That's what I meant. Fuck, these meds are just messing with my head. No notes. It's so easy.
It's all good. Anyways, so yeah, here's the thing. I would like the rest of the book. Like, I don't want to end here, but I do enjoy like this next section and like the angst of that. I'm really here for it. So they have to travel together again, and he looks disheveled and tired. Tara calls her out. She's like, I know it was you, and as soon as I can confirm it, you're fired.
Fuck Tara.
Yeah. She has to do the emergency briefing for them, which is just awful.
Okay.
And he tries to like talk to her, but she won't look at him. And she realizes he's still wearing her ring on his pinky. When they get to Seattle, she's just, sad and devastated in her hotel room. And her dad shows up, having flown from Nashville with a 6-pack of beer, and she unloads on him. He does tell her that her mom is starting to come around, like seeing other people say things about her that she'd been saying seems to have shocked her into like action.
That makes me infuriated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's clear that this has really strained their marriage because she hasn't been a good mom to Stevie as an adult. Like she's treating her the way her mother treated her. But unlike Stevie, she had caved and put her dreams to the side to please her mom. She is jealous, likely, that Stevie didn't, and is now seeing what she's been doing.
Got to do her own thing.
Yeah, he says trying to break generational trauma isn't easy, and I was like, understatement of the year.
Oh my god!
But she's just like, being in Chicago's too hard. Like seeing reminders of him and all the friends that she'd lost. Like she finally had a group of people that liked her for her, not for who her brother was. Like, and everything is all about him. She can't see Ella and Logan and not think about Xander. So she starts applying for jobs in another city. After the game, his agent sends another girl to him, and he is super pissed and super mean to her. Like, not, it's not really her fault, but he's just like, please fuck off and don't touch me. Like, go away.
Yeah.
And then Madison comes to him. He fired Rich. So Madison, Eli, is like, I'm pretty sure he's getting a side cut for tipping off the press.
Oh, for sure.
I'm pretty sure he did it that night.
Yep.
To get him caught. And he and Logan are like, we're cutting ties. Like, you're our family, and this is the thing. But it is a big deal. Like, most athletes, from what I've learned, like, don't change agents. Like, you have one agent for your career.
Is that the same with actors?
No.
They change agents.
Yeah, not super often. Like, something has to happen, but I think with actors, I see more agency changing.
Okay.
The problem is that if Xanders fires him, it could tank his career. So he's up for renegotiation, and teams can't talk to him during the season while he's playing.
Without an agent.
Yeah. So he'd have to represent himself, and they couldn't talk to him till after the playoffs were over, at which point the rosters could all be full.
Right.
And Eli's like, listen, I get it. You have to do what is good for you, but if you end up leaving Chicago, like, it doesn't mean you're leaving our family. Like, you will still always be our family, which he didn't think. He thought if he left, that would be the end of that, which is sad. But he's a boy whose mother left him.
Abandoned him,
Yeah. And Z realizes that he thought that Stevie was going to leave him too. Like, she was going to see all the shit people were saying. And so he broke up with her first so she couldn't leave him. This is all the leftover bullshit from his mother. He can't trust that she really loves him. On the plane, he tries to talk to her. She's like, please let me do my job. I'll talk to you on the next flight. She knows she's not going to be on the next flight, but she's like, the lie makes him feel better in the moment.
Okay.
Her name is finally released. There are paparazzi outside the building. Ryan tries to usher her through, and then she stops. She's so sick of letting other people make her feel like shit. So she turns around, goes back to them, takes off the trench coat that Ryan had brought to her when this all went down. And so she's wearing her, like, you know, summertime crop top. And she's just like, take your picture, post it wherever you want. I might not look how you want me to, but you know how many women look like me. The words you say online about my body affect not only me, but them too. And I'm done hiding because I'm afraid of what you have to say.
Yes. Yes.
And across the street, Xander sees her and smiles super proudly, like she's a badass. He wants to run over and talk to her, but she's asked for space, so he's going to let her have it, and he's going to wait till their next flight, where she said she'd talk to him. And in the meantime, he's taking care of everything else. He fires Rich.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Stevie, as she's leaving to get on the plane to Seattle to go, like, apartment hunting, sees Lindsay walking into Xander's building. So she runs out and she calls for her, but it's not Lindsay. It's Xander's mom.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And she's just like, I know who you are. Like, he's amazing despite you.
Yeah.
And then flips her off. Like, they have like a real confrontation. And it turns out that Xander has invited his mom.
Yeah, to try to.
He's invited her. He's flown, like, he paid for her flight, put her in a hotel, because he needs to move past this to be better for Stevie. He acknowledges that he was so mad at her, and then he put that anger on his dad. So he gets a chance. He tells her all of this, realizes in the timeline that 6 years ago when he made it big and she started coming around looking for money was right around the time that the wealthy guy she left their dad for, has left her. And she was once again on her own.
Because she's a thunder cunt.
Yeah. And so he's just like, we're done now. Like, your flight leaves in an hour. You should take the car that I've called for you. Bye. Mm-hmm. He gets on the plane ready to tell Stevie.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was his hope that they would reconcile?
No.
No, he knew that they weren't going to. It was just
he knew they weren't going to. He just wanted to, like, hear from her and see if there was anything. Because, you know, he realized he'd put this on his dad.
Right. Okay.
That he'd abandoned him when really he was trying to, like, make enough money to support what used to be a 2-parent household.
Right. And
so, you know, he was giving her an opportunity, but, like, she just came in with, like, dollar signs in her eyes, like, looking around his apartment. Right. And so this is the closure he needed. And he gets on the plane and he's just so excited because he's done all these things and she's not there. He calls her in Seattle. But despite all of this, he still doesn't know how to, like, let somebody love him. So she's like, well, this can't continue. Like, I can't be with you if you don't know how, like, can't trust that I love you. Mm-hmm. The call ends. He's freaking out. Like, how am I going to get Seattle to pick me so that I can follow her there? He goes to her when he lands, but she's not at the apartment. He talks to Ryan, who's super angry. But when he realizes he's fired his agent, he's like, oh, you love her. Like, you should tell her before it's too late. They win game 3 of the playoffs. At this point, we're in the finals.
Okay.
They win game 3. He goes and sees his dad. He begins repairing their relationship, apologizes, tells his dad about Stevie, and his dad gives him the same fucking advice. You need to tell her that you love her.
Yes.
And so Stevie comes back early from Seattle in time for the 4th game of the playoffs, although that's not what she doesn't say. That's why she came back. And Ryan shares that he's been coming over every night, that Xander's fired his agent. And despite the phone call not having gone well, Stevie wasn't able to sign the lease for the apartment. She's like, it felt too permanent, like too big of a step to fully leave. And he's left her a ticket.
Ryan or Xander?
Xander's has left her a ticket for the fourth game of the playoffs, and it just says, this season means nothing without you.
Aww.
Yeah. Boy's got some good lines. Like the pants.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. He specifically got her a seat out of his eye range because he needs to focus. It's the fourth game of the playoffs.
Mhm.
Like they could sweep, and either seeing her or seeing an empty seat would be distracting. And he didn't want to send her to the box because his dad and sister are there, and he wants to be there the first time she meets his dad, if she's going to meet his dad.
Mhm.
And they win.
Wow.
And there's a big celebration on the ice, and all he wants is Stevie. You know, she felt rejected before, and he wants her to give her the big public fanfare and confession of love. So he sends the team manager to go to the seat to get her, but she wasn't there. And he's like, she's given up on me.
Did she go to the game and she had already left her seat, or?
She'd watched the game and left her seat to try to fight her way to ice level as soon as they won.
There you go.
With all the people, she couldn't make it. So she steps in because she just wants to see him and watches him celebrate with Eli, and then watches him and his dad, who she, like, the guy she realizes is his dad, hug on the ice. And she's just so proud of him. And she's like, this is his moment. He should have it. Like, it's not about us. Like, this is his moment. So she heads to his building to see it.
Okay.
The doorman lets her up. She decides, like, I'm not going to use my key. It's too unsettled. Like, it feels weird to, like, invade his space like that. So she waits, and she calls, but it goes straight to voicemail, and she texts, but it's unanswered. And finally,
he's waiting outside her apartment.
At 2 a.m., she just goes home, and she's going to try again tomorrow. Turns out that after the game, they'd all gone to Rio's house, partied really hard, the whole team. And the next morning, they're loading onto a bus for the championships parade. Eli's wife is nursing them all back to health with, like, you know, aspirin and coffee. And being there with his family and Eli's is great, but it just makes Stevie's absence feel like so much more prevalent. His phone took a champagne bath in the locker room right after the game, so it's dead. And, you know, he's really hoping that his sister can take some photos for them. They're on the parade, and he realizes they are 2 blocks from the senior shelter. So he stops the bus, and he fights his way through the fans to the shelter. The door opens, and the first thing Stevie sees is Rosie. And he's here.
Oh, Rosie was with him.
Yeah, he brought Rosie on the bus.
Oh.
Eli brought his kids, so he brought Rosie.
Oh, you're breaking my
heart. It's amazing.
Bud.
So he's there, and she looks up, and she's like, are you following me? It's their thing. And he's just like, do you love me?
Mm-hmm.
Because I love you. I've always loved you. I just didn't know that's what it was at the time. I've never had someone to love, and no one's ever loved me the way you do. You might be done with me, V, and I wouldn't blame you if you were, but I can't let this end without telling you how much I fucking love you. He tells her he thought that losing Chicago was the worst thing that could happen to him, but he was wrong, and losing her would be the worst thing. He'll go wherever she wants. He'll follow her anywhere. He used to love traveling because it meant he could forget that he didn't have anybody at home. And this year, he had the best part of home with him. He fell in love with her when they were a mile high in the air. And then she corrects him, miles.
Sure.
Obviously, she loves him back. They realize all their near misses from the night before. And he steals her to come ride on the bus with them. And getting on, fans, players, Z's family, like everyone is so happy that she's there. She gets to meet his dad. The next chapter is almost exclusively get back together smut.
Okay.
But after they talk about, like, wherever we end up, like, he's like, I need you to be home with me. Like, we need to live with me, whether it's Chicago just for the summer until we figure out, but, like, we need to move in together. And then there's someone at the door. It's the team manager. He's been trying to get a hold of him. Dead phone. They were, like, planning to wait to talk to him and let him celebrate. But since he talked about being a free agent and going to Seattle on television when the news crews that were following the parade followed him to get Stevie, they were like, we need to move this up. They're like, you're an essential part of our organization. And if you're going to turn us down, you at least owe us a conversation.
Yeah.
And he's really confused. He's like, what are you talking about, turn you down? It turns out they'd made an offer in October.
Of course, to his fucking agent.
And his shit agent just kept asking for more money. There's been this outpouring of support since he said he might leave. It's amazing. You know, not only fans from Chicago not wanting him to leave, but fans from Seattle being super excited that he might come, just like around the country, everybody talking and being supportive of him and Stevie and being excited. So he's like, I mean, I love Chicago. I have to talk to Stevie before I commit. But if I do, I have one non-negotiable condition. And so in our epilogue, it is the first away game, like the night before the first away series. Stevie's living with Xanders. At the end of the summer, she started family therapy with her mom to repair their relationship.
Oh, that's good.
And the Raptors are now fully financially supporting the senior dog rescue.
Oh.
They can afford to keep Stevie on full time. And she brings a pup to every home game who gets a cameo on the Jumbotron at intermission.
Oh my God, and this is what's going to make me cry.
Yeah.
Why?
And then he finally, at the end of the night, leaves, complaining as they get on the plane to Eli how much he hates away games.
Very sweet.
Yeah. So there's one big thing that we need to talk about before I ask your opinion.
Okay.
There's a lot of interesting discussion online about the lack of racial conversation in this book.
Okay, yeah.
You know, Xanders isn't made explicitly a Black character. It doesn't feel like anyway. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the audiobook, the narrators are both Black. Like, it's a little bit more explicit there. But there's no discussion. Like, so hockey is a super white sport, and racism just doesn't come up at all in a way that feels like a decision.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can actually I'm sure there are more than one Black hockey player in the NHL.
Yeah.
I can literally only think of PK Subban, and probably because he's Canadian. But yeah, that is interesting that wouldn't have come up more, even in
even in the setup. Yeah, and even in the setup of like their dynamic, like he's the bad boy and his white best friend is the golden boy.
Interesting.
Like, it's like there's these racialized dynamics at play that just aren't discussed. There's a mention in that mirror scene where he talks about not looking like the guys he played with growing up. But again, like, they don't dig into what that felt like or what it meant.
Right. Yeah.
And they also, with Stevie, like, there's the friction with her mom around not fitting into like her white Southern mom's beauty ideals or ambitions.
Right.
But it's not discussed or covered under the umbrella of race. It's just like, my mom doesn't understand curves or curly hair. And again, like, it feels like she was nervous to dive into those waters. So it was
she's sidestepping. Yeah.
Yeah.
More so, I feel like with Stevie than with Xanders. Like, I think
Xanders. Yeah.
I think it's both, but I think the opportunity to discuss it specifically from like the book is a lot about body image.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to discuss it from the perspective of body image to what I assume is a mostly female readership.
Yeah.
Was huge. And I think that would have made a bigger impact than talking about how hockey is a predominantly white sport and this is a Black player. Like, I understand the...
Yeah. I think that if we were going to skip it, because for whatever reason, like, have you ever heard the Dan Levy thing that he talked about when he was making Schitt's Creek, where he wanted to live in a world where homophobia just wasn't a thing. So he took it out of the show. Like, it's just not attention. Yeah. And so
it's not a thing.
Yeah. And I've seen books like that have set that up. Like, I have seen male hockey books where they set that up. Like, we don't want that to be part of this dynamic, but at least they're acknowledging, like, it's not true to life. This would be a factor for these guys in reality, but we're going to pretend it isn't. But
the whole thing about him being the enforcer and like being the Black guy and the white guy being the golden boy, is that something the author has mentioned, or is this just stuff you've read like from people who've read the book?
Well, I mean, the fact that he's the enforcer and his friend is the golden boy.
No, I mean, like, that is like a thing.
No, that's what that was something I read in somebody else's, like, a Black woman's reading of this, being like, it felt very racialized to like make him the thug and the white boy the...
I get what she's saying. I think from the other side of that, it would have been tough to write a hockey romance with a Black lead bad boy that wasn't the enforcer.
100. Yeah.
And so it's almost like it should have been talked about more 100%. I don't know if that was a choice by the author to be like, oh, like in the words of what you just said, the black guy is going to be the thug. Like, I don't like that. And I don't know that should be like put on the author. But I do think it was a huge missed opportunity to at least not mention like something from his childhood playing hockey, like more so than just, oh, I don't look like my friends. Like really more so about like looking at hockey cards and like not seeing yourself. It's a lot of the same of what we talked about with child actors. Like a lot of these child actors now are saying like, I want to be the character on screen that I didn't get to see when I was a kid. And a huge missed opportunity to not talk about Stevie's relationship with her mother in that parameter.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like that's a huge factor. Yeah.
So, I mean, I really love this book, but I did feel like we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't at least mention that was something that seemed to be like, you know, I am a white lady, so it wasn't something that was glaringly obvious to me. But again, the first time I read it, I didn't see Xanders like through a racialized lens. And it wasn't until I saw like...
No, I totally get that.
The other pieces, I was like, oh, that was the intention. So...
But it also should have been more clear in his character description.
Yeah.
Like... It's one thing for like the books that I've done where the character descriptions are super vague, but they're also not super important. Yeah. There's also not like a theme around the character descriptions. But if you're going to have a theme, which this does, your character description should make it very clear, and his did not. Interesting.
Yeah. This book has over 300,000 ratings on Goodreads and 33,000 reviews.
Nice.
Got an average of 4.08 stars.
Wow.
As we do, I have 2 5-star and 2 1-star reviews. The first 5-star, amazing, show-stopping, could not put this book down. This book consumed my existence. I love this book so much. 100 out of 10.
Amazing.
And someone else said, I want this kind of love. Which, I agree.
I hope you find.
Yeah, and then the 1-star reviews, one person's like, you're insecure, we get it. And I was just like, you're obviously not. Like,
fuck you all the way off.
Yeah. I was like, as someone who shared insecurities, I really loved that part of this. So like, you go do you, ma'am.
That makes me mad. Yeah. Okay.
This one's a little bit funny. One can only read about a man talking about how big his ding dong is so many times before they question their entire existence. I hate it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts?
Listen, I have been putting off hockey romance as a genre since the day you and I started talking about this podcast, because I was like, that sounds dumb, and you were like, it's not. I will explain. I will open your eyes. So I have been leaving this on you. I think you picked probably the perfect hockey romance to start me off with. The body insecurities and like her, generational trauma, whatever. Like,
oh my God, I have
that really resonates was the word I was going for. Thank you. Whatever stupid medication I'm on, really resonates with me, and I have yet to come across. Actually, that's not true. I've come across one book where the female main character is curvy, and when I use that word, I don't mean skinny with big hips and big boobs.
Yes.
Like genuinely a curvy, voluptuous woman, organically. And I find that a little frustrating. And as much as hockey isn't like my shtick, the themes of this book very much are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked it. I think I'll probably read it.
I'm so glad. One, there are like other books in the series, the non-hockey ones, where like one of them, she's like a baker. And so I'm very excited to send that your way. Also, we can get into like, there are the dark romances in the hockey world, and some that I hate,
but also good ones. Because I do not understand how that's possible.
I will 1000%. There will be more hockey coming. As mentioned, I have read a lot of hockey. So just in covering other tropes, things are going to come back. There's so many that I love and have like this deep affection for. But like you said, like I thought this would be a good way for us to start off. It wasn't the first hockey book I read, but it was one of the first, and it really like set a tone for me. And yeah, things we didn't just talk about. Like I love all the mentions of how he can just like pick her up and move her around, because again, as a bigger girl, like that isn't a thing you get. That's not an experience you get often. Turns out I should have been dating 6'5" hockey players. That's where I went wrong.
Absolutely. I can't believe you're just coming to this now.
Yeah.
I always thought I should be dating a 6'5" hockey player or professional athlete of any kind.
But yeah, no, it's I'm so glad. I hope everybody else likes it. If you read it, or if you have a favorite hockey romance, tell me what it is, because if I haven't read it, I want to, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you have a preview for us for next week?
Do. Okay, Alexis, close your eyes and picture it. You're 23 again, and your creepy ex-boyfriend is stalking you. And I mean, breaking into your apartment and leaving rose petals everywhere, stalking you. No need to lose your cool, because your overprotective military brother is set on keeping you safe until that wackadoo you used to date leaves town for a new job in 3 weeks. How's he gonna do that? Well, he has made some calls, and you will be staying with Cash McCoy, a Navy SEAL, subordinate, and friend of your brother, who's been given strict instructions to keep his hands to himself. Oh, and I don't know if this is of any importance to you, but he's also that crazy hot guy that you hooked up with in the coat closet at that bar a month ago. You know, the one who never called you. Well, this is going to be awkward.
Oh my God, I am very excited.
Woohoo!
I would like to skip ahead so I can know what's happening, because I very much want to see it. Hear it, read it, something.
It's good. It's good. My trailers are getting more and more theatrical. As I've written them, they're all like side by side, and they are getting a little bit longer. So the paragraph is like going like this. So I'm going to work on
Amazing.
That. But anyway.
Tune in next week as we dive deeper into our TBR list.
From a curvy female main character to a minimum 11-inch dick, it will always be served smutty side up.
In today's episode, we reviewed Mile High by Liz Tomforde. Copyright 2022, Liz Tomforde. The audiobook was published by Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books. Narrated by Mari and Winston James. And as always, special thanks to Wayne Davis for the Hot Plot Spot intro.